I thought I'd just go through some of my bonsai. I'm a complete beginner and just having a go. Not all of them have been successful. So I might start with this one. This is a plain tree that is about 5 years old. It was a stray shoot that popped up in a footpath and I grabbed it. I actually grabbed two of them. Now this one I've grown and I just cut back solidly this year and it's starting to come out again at the right height. I've got a decent width of the main stem that I'm happy with and I like that height. Now the other one has not done so well. It was doing pretty well and I was growing it in a windswept pattern, but this last winter season appears to have killed it. It just didn't like the changes in temperature. I've got some shoots here that I'm not sure whether they'll take off or not. They are crepe myrtle cuttings that I took in the middle of winter and threw them in. Two of them started to shoot and then the weather snapped from warm back to cold again. The leaves have died off. So hopefully they will come through, but only time will tell. So I'm just leaving those there at the moment. We have a Jade, small leaf Jade. Unfortunately, in a move, the end of this third branch broke off. That used to curve right down. This one was actually going to be sort of grown sort of like an umbrella pattern. Now I just want to wait and see what it does before I attempt anything more. It was a bit weak around the bottom, so I've held it up with a piece of aluminium wire just to hold it steady in the pot. But we'll give that one a chance to recuperate. But it's quite a nice little tree, and I think that one will come out as quite a nice little bonsai. We have a couple of cotoneasters. Once again, there was damage in a house move that I've had to deal with. So this is one of them. It's ended up, we've got some new growth coming out at the bottom that I'm hoping will thicken up the nabari a little bit. I'd like to see a couple more shoots lower down come out. It broke off here in the move. It had a branch coming out this way and one growing up from there. They broke off. So we've changed the style. We're letting it recuperate. Let's see where it goes. The other cotoneaster was also substantially larger and it had a large curve off the top here with a couple of branches coming out, and the same here. So it was like a double helix type thing. Unfortunately, it got broken off above these points, so I decided just to cut them back to there, let them rejuvenate, see where they go. But I quite like the shape that it's coming out to. We have this Juniper here. It was actually picked up from a marketplace sale, local sale. It was in a pretty poor state of affairs. I didn't go to buy this, I bought something else and they had it there and it was a couple of bucks. And I thought, well, for the pot, the price of a couple of bucks is well worth it. But we got this tree that was in a really sad state of affairs, but it's starting to show some life with some new shoots coming out. It was very brown when I got it. This one here is one of my favourites. This one is about 7 years old now. It's Ficus. It was taken from a cutting of the Ficus and just thrown in some dirt, and it's taken off. And over the course of the 7 years, I've just been letting it grow and cutting it, and it's got this beautiful character in the trunk that I love. It does have a root coming straight out here, which I do plan to trim off at some point, but at the moment I just want to leave it there because it has stability for the trunk and keeps it nice and firm while it establishes a really good root system. It's had a trim recently right back, and spring is now starting to shoot out a whole bunch of new leaves, so it'll get quite a nice canopy on it. But that one is one of my favourite ones that I've done, and ironically it was one of my first, but it's coming up really well. Hopefully these others, as they get a bit older, will come up as well. I have here, it's a kind of Japanese cherry. I'm not sure if it's edible or not, but it does come out with a red cherry fruit when you have a few plants around. This one was a stray shoot that seemed to die off but then reshot from the root. So I'm just got the pot on an angle at the moment to let it naturally grow some curve in the trunk as it tries to follow the sun. So I've just put that on the angle last week. We'll see how long that takes. Might stay there a little bit. This one here, I'm not sure what will happen here. I've just thrown it in a bunch of sphagnum moss. It's held on to greenness. It hasn't died off completely. It's died off a bit at the small leaves at the top, but it still seems to have life. Now that's been in the pot for about a month now, and it's just in a McDonald's cup of sphagnum moss, and I keep it moist. I'm not actually even sure what the plan is. I saw it, but it was a nice green tree-like bush, a couple of metres high, and the new leaves came out this sort of pinky colour, and it was quite stunning, I thought. So I just grabbed a piece of it and stuck it in some sphagnum moss, see what will happen. We do have some others that I've just thrown into a pot down here. We have a coastal rosemary cutting that is doing quite well. We have a pot here that I've just stuck bits and pieces in. We have another coastal rosemary. We have a couple more junipers of different style. They're just bits that I've grabbed where the actual bush itself had a nice shape to it. It wasn't trained in any way, but it had a nice shape that lent itself to a bonsai layering type effect that I quite like. So I've just grabbed a couple of bits of those and thrown them in the ground, and they seem to be surviving quite well. They've been there a couple of months now, and they have remained nice light green, so we should see those hang on quite well. We also have some willow, where I just grabbed about a foot length of a willow. That was sort of about a month and a half ago, next to a river, and I've broken it in 3 parts, stuck it into a pot, and it had no leaves. A couple of weeks in, all of a sudden it started shooting leaves out, so quite happy. All 3 seem to have rooted okay, and we've got positive there. Another bit of ficus over here, which hasn't appeared to have done any well. So that one I think is a dead one. And this one was a piece of coastal rosemary that had some roots on the bottom of it. I didn't have much faith that anything would happen, but I've stuck it in the pot just to give it a chance. And that was about 2 months ago. There's no sign of any growth on it anywhere, so I think that one's pretty much dead. But it might be utilisable to use one of these junipers as they grow taller to feed into this and give it the trickster type bonsai. We'll see how that goes. 2 others that I've got going are Italian Boxthorn. Now they're a weed where I am, and I've dug these up out of the garden. They've been there a few years, shot up by themselves. I've trimmed the roots right back, trimmed the branches right back, and thrown it in a pot. And this one's shot out pretty quickly and pretty strongly, so that one looks like it's a goer. I think that one might actually lend itself to a really nice bonsai once it gets some growth in those limbs, and we can start to trim it back to shape. We have another one here, which I really like the base of the trunk on this. This is the same, an Italian Boxthorn, and it hasn't really made much progress for a while, but as you can see, if I can get a good angle on it, there's a bit of growth coming out there, and we have some more on the other side coming out as well. So that one looks like it's taken off as well. So two there which are essentially weeds in the native, but I think they will lend themselves to really nice bonsai as they establish. At the moment, we're just going to leave them there and let them establish some roots. So I'm by no means an expert. I am a complete beginner and novice. I would not suggest anyone take any advice from me on what to do. But I will say that all of these trees have cost me nothing. They've all been taken from cuttings. I'm not attached to any of them. The only one that I haven't taken from a cutting is this one, or a shoot, is this one. But it wasn't that I actually bought, it was the pot. So not attached to it at all, but if it does well, it's got quite a nice shape about it. I believe it was like a Bunnings purchase or something by the previous owner, but they didn't really do much with it, and I think they just had it in the house and it kind of died off and they didn't know what to do with it. The one thing I would say is if you're getting into bonsai, I think from my experience so far, I've really enjoyed just trying to grow them in various ways as ones that I've picked up without going out and buying anything from a nursery. And they've given a meditative portion to my life and given me relaxation that other things haven't. I've always been fascinated since I was about 5 with bonsai and have never really got into them. So this collection is just a beginner's hack and slash and give it a go type thing. Picked up a number of things off watching YouTube channels, various ones. I won't name any in particular at this point, but this Ficus is at the moment the one I'm proudest of, and I think it's got a good future in my collection. Whether you collect or hoard, the more the merrier. Happy hunting.